Hi everyone, I'm Angela from Reindeer Therapies and I'd like to invite you to join me in a yoga sequence designed to help balance the throat chakra. So we've worked so far from the root through the sacral, solar plexus, heart, and now we're at the throat chakra. So we're into the upper three chakras, which link to the more spiritual aspect of life. So with the throat chakra, what we're doing is we're obviously opening the throat and we're working with the shoulders and with the lung area. And as you'd expect, the throat chakra is all about communication. And it's about speaking our truth and being able to speak openly and honestly. If we can't express ourselves openly, then we're obviously holding things in, which is going to cause tension, both physically and emotionally. So it's about finding the right balance between just getting what we want to say out there and finding how we want to say things in a way that's helpful to us and that's helpful to others. So the first thing that we're going to do today is a spot of breathing, as usual. So let's take a comfortable sitting position. If you wish, you can raise yourself up on a block so that your hips are higher than your knees. And we can close our eyes if we wish to. As an alternative for today, if you want to do something a little bit different, we can kneel and you can have your toes tucked under so you get a nice little stretch in the feet. If that's uncomfortable, then just feel free to return to sitting cross-legged. I'm going to sit and kneel this time. So let's just feel how different that is if we are kneeling. Or let's just go back into our comfortable sensation of sitting cross-legged. And let's just notice what's there today. Any tension, you can let that drift away. We can notice the breath as it drops in. And we can notice the breath as it flows out. We can let the spine just naturally lengthen as each vertebra stacks gently one on top of the other, exactly as they should. So the spine is straight without tension. Let's begin to follow our breath. See where it's going. Just see what it's doing. Finding any areas of tension and just letting them flow away. Good. As we're dealing with the throat chakra, I'd like to introduce a type of breathing that we often do in yoga classes called Ujjayi breath. This is a lovely sound. It's also called ocean breath, and it's a way of slowing down the out breath. And if you're in a class and you've got a bit muddled with what you're doing, when you hear everyone else's ocean breath, that really is a lovely reminder to bring you back to your own breath. It's very simple to do. First of all, just take a breath in, and with the mouth open, just release a I hope you can hear that. Just take a nice breath in, and we release to So just take a few more breaths, natural breaths in, release to The next time you do that, as you are releasing, just close the lips together, but retain the sound. So you might notice at the back of the throat, there's a lovely light rasping sound, which does sound like the ocean. We'll do a few more of those. Feel free to close the eyes again. And now let's see if we can just go straight into Ujjayi or ocean breathing. Let's breathe in and breathe out with that soft rasping sound, just closing the throat ever so slightly. So Ujjayi breathing is a lovely way to bring the focus back to the breath, and all you have to do is focus on your breathing, bring the attention back to the breath. Okay, so if you've been kneeling and you've had your toes tucked under, we can just come into tabletop and just tap out the toes to release any tension that's been built up in there. And then we can come back to sitting. If you were sitting previously, just return to what you were doing. If you were kneeling, let's take a nice comfortable kneeling position. So, using the Ujjayi breath that we've just learned, let's take a breath in and breathe out, hands to heart. Breathe in, open wide, and breathe out, hands down. Breathe in again. Ujjayi breath out. Breathe in and out. Let's breathe in again. Breathe out. Breathing in and out. We'll do two more. Breathe in. Lovely. And as in all of the sessions that we've done previously, work to your own pace, work to your own ability, never push into pain. It's always good to push yourself a little bit, always know what your limits are, work up to them without pushing past them. So respecting our shoulders and our neck, we're going to do some shoulder shrugs. So let's just rotate the shoulders up and down, remembering our Ujjayi breathing. Rotating backwards. And now let's come forwards. Your shoulders are crunchy, that's okay. Just respect your crunchy shoulders and work within your limits. Okay, this time, let's raise the shoulders towards the ears and just hold that. Without holding the breath, just hold the shoulders. We're going to release to a ha. Breathe in. And release. Let's do that again. Breathe in, shoulders to ears. Let all that tension gather. Take a nice breath in and release to let's do that once more. Breathe in. Feel any tension gathering And then as we release, lovely. Okay, so this time let's have the left hand just to the side of the hip. I'm going to bring the right hand to the side of the head, to the left side of the head. And let's just bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. Just the tiniest bit of tension, bringing the right ear towards the right shoulder, feeling a stretch on the left side. Breathe out as we release. So now let's bring the left hand to the right side of the head. And as we breathe out, we bring the left ear towards the left shoulder. Gradually increasing the stretch on the right side of the neck. Gently increasing the stretch. With our Ujjayi breath, helping us to release. Nice breath in, and as we breathe out, we release. Good. Let's do a couple of little releases. So this time, again, we're just going to respect the neck. Let's do some shoulder and neck rolls. So let's bring the chin to the chest. And as we breathe in, let's roll the chin towards the left shoulder. And let's breathe out, bring the chin back to the chest. As we breathe in, we bring the chin over to the right shoulder. And breathe out to center. Let's do a few more of those. Breathe in, roll to the left. Breathe out to center. Let's breathe in, roll to the right. And breathe out to center. Let's do a couple of those in your own time. Respecting the movement of your neck. And breathe out to center. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. This time we can breathe in and bring the chin to the left shoulder. If it is comfortable for your neck, we can trace a circle with the nose all the way around, back to the left shoulder. If this is not comfortable for your neck, then please just return to the half circles. And bring the chin back to the chest. This time you bring the chin towards the right shoulder, and if it's comfortable, let's trace a circle with the nose all the way round. If it's not comfortable for your neck, return to the half circles, please. And let's bring the chin back to the chest. And let's just lift the head up. Let's have a little wriggle around with the shoulders, do what feels good. Just loosen all of that. And now let's come onto our hands and knees. And let's sit back on the heels. You can have the knees together. If it's not comfortable, feel free to have the knees apart. I'm going to do it with knees together. So let's interlace the fingers behind the back. And as we breathe in, let's lengthen the spine. As we breathe out, let's come forwards, as close to the floor as is comfortable. And if it is comfortable, let's try and keep the heel of the hands together and bring the arms as high as is comfortable for you. This is a beautiful stretch for the shoulder blades. And let's hold at whatever level is comfortable for you for 5 breaths. For 1. Remembering our Ujjayi breath, that soft, raspy sound. For 2. 3. Good. Let's breathe in as we come up. Bring the hands to the front. Interlace the fingers, turn the palms away. And let's just stretch up, keeping the shoulders down. It's a nice arch in the back. And then let's release all of that. Okay, let's come to hands and knees, tabletop position. So, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Let's take a nice breath in. Let's move from the tailbone, breathe in. And breathe out, let's really arch the back. As we breathe in, lower the belly, raise the head. And breathe out, push the floor away. Let's breathe in. And breathe out. One more, breathe in. And breathe out. So let's come back to our tabletop. Let's transfer the weight into the left hand. Let's breathe out as we trace the fingertips back to the toes. The bum comes to the heels. And let's breathe in as we bring the arm over. Breathe out as we trace back to the toes. Breathe in. We'll do that 3 more times. Breathing in. Breathing out. And in. Breathe out. And breathe in. Let's come back to our tabletop and do some more cat-cow. So breathe in as we lower the belly, raise the head. And breathe out into cat. Breathe in, lower the belly, raise the head. Breathe out, really arch the back. Let's breathe in. And push the floor away as we breathe out. And now let's breathe in. And breathe out. Good. Let's come back into tabletop. Let's breathe out as you bring the fingertips to the toes and breathe in as we come forwards. Breathe out, fingertips to toes. Breathe in as we reach forwards. Breathe out. Sweep the left arm up and breathe out. Breathing in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out so we come back into our lovely tabletop. So let's bring the hips back into our child's pose. And let's see if we can bring the forehead towards the floor. Let's just take 3 breaths here. Still using our Ujjayi breathing. That slight raspy sound as we breathe out. Okay, so let's bring the head up as we breathe in. And let's bring the head and torso through. Elbows tucked into the ribs. And let's breathe out. Hips to heels. Let's slide the head and torso through. Tuck the elbows in. And breathe out, hips to heels. Let's do 3 more of these. Breathe out. This time, if you'd like to come into upward dog, straighten the arms, lift the knees off the floor, and then come back into child's pose. It's absolutely fine to stay in cobra if you prefer. And let's come back into child's pose. Okay, from child's pose we're going to come into Anahatasana, or melting heart. So let's come up so our knees are directly below our hips and just walk the hands forwards as far as is comfortable. And then we can aim to bring the chest towards the floor. Keeping the arms straight. We can bring the forehead down to the floor if you wish. If you have a block, you can always rest your head on a block if it's not always going down towards the floor. Resting the head. If you're very flexible in this pose, you can begin to bring the chin down towards the floor and eventually the chest. And let's take 5 breaths here. 1, 2. So this is a test of your Ujjayi breathing, keeping the breath nice and smooth. 4 and 5. Lovely. So let's bring ourselves up nice and gently and let's come back into child's pose for a very well-deserved rest. Okay, stay in child's pose for a moment while I let you know what's happening next. So we're going to do a sequence which is concentrating on the chest area. So we're going to do some twists to encourage you to breathe into each side of the lungs. And they're also really good for just encouraging proper breathing, because as you're twisting, you are constricting. So it's really a good idea to use your Ujjayi breath in this sequence. And also because it's a little bit demanding and we are doing, as I say, lots of twists. And so that is a little bit harder to breathe. And allowing the breath to flow is, of course, very important, not just in yoga, but kind of in life in general. So let's come back into child's pose if you took a sneaky rest there. And now let's come to hands and knees. Let's tuck the toes under and let's send the hips up and away into downward dog. So if you do have blocks, keep them handy because you may need them. Okay, let's pad out our feet in our downward dog. Heels towards the floor. We can come up and down. And maybe cross the knees over from side to side. Always respecting your body's limits. Okay. So let's breathe in. Look forwards. Let's bring the right foot forwards. We're going to come into crescent moon. So you may be on the flat part of your knee. You might want to just come a little bit further forward so you're not on your actual knee. You're just on the upper part of your thigh, which can protect your knee a little bit more. So let's breathe in, pushing down into the inside of your right foot, into the big toe side of the foot. For 3, 2, and 1. Our first twist. Let's breathe in and reach up. And as we breathe out, let's bring left elbow to right knee. We can have the hands together in the chest and breathe deeply. Okay, so let's get ready to come up on the back foot. Okay, so you can keep your heel off the floor, which I'm going to do because it's easy to balance. And we can stay here with the hands together in the centre. Or if you have a bind in your practice in this very twisty pose, feel free, I can nearly do it. Or you can bring your arms, one arm down to the floor, one arm over, or you can simply stay with your hands in prayer, respecting what your body is able to do today. Okay, so let's breathe in. Bring the right hand to the big toe side of the foot. We can pop the left heel down at an angle so the toes are turning in. Let's breathe in and breathe out as we reach forwards. Nice little counter pose. For 1, 2, and 3. Lovely. Let's bring that hand down. We can bring both hands to the front knee as we come up into our warrior 2. And let's hold here. I'm still here. Let's hold here for 3 breaths. For 1, 2, and 3. So let's windmill the arms down into our runner pose. So fingers frame the front foot. We're up on the toes of the back foot as if we're ready to leap off into a great big sprint. So you might want to walk the back foot in a tiny bit as we're going to come up again. And then we bring the elbows down to shoulder height. And we bring the chest forwards, like we're pushing the chest forwards to get as much air into the lungs as possible. For 3, for 2, and 1. Okay, so this is where you might want to have a block handy. So we're going to come into reversed or twisted triangle. So let's bring the right hand and place it just on the left hip. We can breathe in as we straighten the front leg, keeping the hips square towards the front. And as we breathe out, we can bring the left hand to the little toe side of the right foot. My stance is quite wide. You may wish to reduce the width of your stance if that works better for you. And as we're in our triangle, you can leave your right hand on the left hip, or you can raise it up. For 1, 2, and 3. Let's bring the hand back to the hip. You can bend the front knee a bit. As we come all the way up, let's bring that down. And then we come into our beautiful warrior 1. So again, we keep our hips square to the front. Shoulders are down. And we're looking up towards the thumbs. For 1, 2, and 3. Let's bring the left hand to the left thigh. Right palm reaches up and backwards towards the toes for 3, 2, and 1. So let's breathe in as we windmill the hands towards the floor, and then breathe out as we come into plank. We can lower knees, chest, chin, slide the head and torso through into cobra or up dog. Push the hips up and back into downward dog. And then we can step forward and start again. I'm going to change sides so you can see more easily. Ooh, there we go. So this time we step the left foot forwards. And again, we can come a little bit further forwards on the right leg so that we're not pressing down directly on the knee. So let's push down into the inside of the left foot. Hips are coming up towards the ribs. We're reaching the hands up to the sky or as high as is comfortable for you. Shoulders away from the ears for 3, 2, and 1. Let's breathe in and reach up a bit more. And breathe out as we bring the right elbow to the left knee. For 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so we may want to move the back foot in a little bit as we lift up. And again, we have the option for a big twisty bind, which my right arm won't do. But we can reach down towards the floor and extend the left arm. or we can stay with our hands by our heart. For 3, 2, and 1. So let's bring the left hand to the big toe side of the foot. The back heel comes down. Let's lift up, reach over with the right hand. Beautiful big stretch from the outside of the right foot all the way along the right side to the right fingertips. For 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring ourselves down and then let's come up into our lovely warrior 2. The little toe is level with the edge of the mat at the back, and we're keeping our front knee over our ankle. For 3, 2, and 1. So let's breathe in as we reach up and breathe out as we turn the back toes to face the front and we come into our runner position. For 3, 2, and 1. Step the back foot in a little bit. We can use the legs to lever ourselves up. And then reach up. Then bring the elbows in line with the shoulders. And let's bring the chest through. Really opening up the chest, getting all of that beautiful oxygen into our lungs. Okay, so let's pop the right heel down. And then again, we might want to have a block handy. So the left hand now goes onto the right hip. Let's raise the right hand. Hips are square towards the front. And let's bring the right hand to the little toe side of the left foot. For 3, 2. If you want to raise the hand, feel free. And 1. Good. Let's bend the front knee. Let's reach all the way up into warrior 1. So the arms are raised as high as is comfortable for you. Shoulders away from ears. For 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring the right hand to the right thigh. Let's breathe in as we reach up and breathe out as we reach the left fingertips towards the right toes. For 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Let's breathe in as we windmill the hands down to frame the front foot. Step the left foot back, lower knees, chest and chin. Slide the head and torso through into cobra or up dog, then into downward dog. And then let's take a little break in child's pose. Let's take 3 nice deep breaths here, remembering our Ujjayi breath. Okay, so when you're ready, we are going to do some back bends, which are a lovely way to waken up the throat chakra. They're also lovely for the heart chakra, so you may notice a little bit of crossover with some of the poses between the heart and the throat. So the first pose that we're going to do is camel. There are options for camel. You can either simply kneel with the knees directly under the hips with the toes on the floor, or if it's more comfortable, you can come up onto the toes, so that just helps to cushion the knees a little bit. We need to keep the hips and the knees in line, so always keep pushing the hips forwards. Okay, so let's breathe in as we raise the right arm and bring that down. Let's breathe in and out. Let's just alternate the arms. So our spine is becoming aware that we're going to do a back bend, and it's not too scared when we finally do it. Okay, This time, as we breathe in, we bring both arms up and then we take both arms down behind us. Let's see if we can reach back to find the heels. If that's not comfortable, you can simply have the hands on the lower back, pushing the hips forwards, or you can have the hands on the thighs, and again, just keeping the hips nicely forwards. If it's comfortable to have the hands on the heels, feel free. We can have the chin level with the floor, so we're gazing forwards, or if our neck is comfortable and safe, we can raise the chin. If we're very comfortable and we know our neck is safe, we can drop the head back. So take whichever pose works for you. And let's hold for 3, 2, and 1. Okay. So now let's walk ourselves back up the body. If you've had your toes tucked under, place them back down on the floor. And let's stack the hands in front. Bring the head to rest on the top hand, just so that the spine can relax in a forward fold. And let's release the top hand as we feel the spine releasing. Good. Let's come up nice and slowly from that one. And we can take a supine position, so we're lying on our back. We're going to come into bridge. So let's have the hips, knees and feet in a neat line. We've got the hips tilting up slightly towards the ribs so that the whole of the spine is on the floor. So if you have a block, you may wish to put that just for now between your knees so that you've got something to push against and you know that you are in the correct alignment. If you don't have a block, you can use a cushion. So let's take a breath in. And as we breathe out, let's push into the inside of the feet and raise the hips as high as is comfortable. We want a little bit of tension in the glutes or the bum cheeks, but not so much that they're really, really tight. And we can keep the chin a little away from the chest. Keep squeezing the block if you are using one. If you're not using a block or a cushion, just imagine that you're rotating the inner thighs inwards. For 3, 2, and 1. So as we breathe out, let's allow the spine, vertebra by vertebra, to return nice and slowly to the floor. And then we can get rid of the block. And then nice and easily, let's just bring the right knee into the chest. And pop that foot back down, and let's bring the left knee into the chest. Now let's have both together. Do a nice little stretch for the lower back. Okay. So the next pose we're going to look at is shoulder stand. If you have any issues with your shoulders or your neck, please take this nice and easy, work within your limits and do take one of the options. If you know that shoulder stand is not a good thing for you to do, then please just return to some more bridge and just take that nice and easily for yourself. So, options for shoulder stand. As we're going to be putting some pressure on the back of the neck, if you have another yoga mat or a blanket, feel free to fold them over so you've got some nice folds, and that can support your neck. Okay. So we want the mat to be just under the shoulders so that the neck is resting nice and gently without any pressure. So what we can do for shoulder stand, a few things. We can very, very simply just lift the feet up into the air with the legs straight. We can hold on to the legs, keeping it nice and simple. Another option is again to be sideways against a wall and then just shuffle your legs up and shuffle your bum around so that your legs are up against a wall, your neck is safe and everything is well supported. Okay, and that's how you come out of it, just roll out. If you know that your neck is safe, my mat is migrating on this carpet, oops. If you know that your neck is safe, then you can take a shoulder stand in this way. So let's lift the legs up and then let's get some momentum and just bring the hands underneath the hips, trying to keep the elbows tucked in so they're pointing directly behind you, and then raise the legs to a point that is comfortable. Now I'm not going to be turning my head to look at the camera because there is a lot of pressure on my neck and that will not be healthy for my neck. So I'm not ignoring you, I'm just staying safe. So we don't want to be so high up that we feel a lot of pressure in the neck. We need to ensure that we have our shoulder blades on the floor. Your shoulder stand may look a bit more like this, and that's absolutely fine. I'm just used to doing shoulder stand, which is why my legs are probably fairly straight. So take whichever version works for you. Either legs up in the air or legs up against a wall or whatever height that your legs are comfortable with and your neck, most importantly, is comfortable with. And let's just hold for 5 breaths. The chin is slightly away from the chest. For 1, 2. Shoulder stand is a wonderful pose for stimulating the thyroid gland. We roll the inner thighs inwards. 3, 4, 5. Okay, if you are comfortable in shoulder stand, you may want to bring the right leg to the floor and then the left leg to the floor. I can find the floor. And then just do that a couple more times. And then finally, oops, put the block out of the way, bring both legs, both sets of toes to the floor. And if it's comfortable, if you've got both feet on the floor, you can interlace the fingers and straighten the arms. That's only if both feet are on the floor. If they're not, then please keep the hands on the lower back to support. This is called halasana or plow pose. Let's just take a couple of breaths there. Again, we're rolling the inner thighs inwards. Okay, so let's lift up one leg. Both hands are now on the lower back. Let's lift up the other leg. And now we can start to bring the feet towards the floor again as we slide the hands towards the bum and then down the thighs as we help the spine come towards the floor. And then very, very gently, let's lower down. Just hover before you get to the floor for a nice cheeky bit of core. And then with control, as we breathe out, heels down. That wasn't so bad, was it? Okay, for our next beautiful shoulder and throat opener, we're going to do fish pose. So I'm going to give you the option for fish pose to begin with, because it does put quite a lot of pressure on your neck. Very simply, we can take a cross-legged position, put our hands behind our hips, we raise our chest and lift our chin as high as is comfortable. And we push the hip bones forwards, the chest comes forwards, and we raise the chin as high as is comfortable. Okay. If your neck is quite safe, we can have the legs extended straight out. We have the hands, let's pop them underneath the bum. Okay, let's take a nice breath in and let's just slide the head so that the crown of the head is on the floor. And the nose, you just imagine that the nostrils are facing directly upwards. And let's take 5 breaths here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And as you breathe out, let's just slide the neck, the head back, so that we are now lying flat. And let's move the hands out of the way. So we are nearly done. Let me just see where we are actually up to. Oh, we're going to do a nice little counter pose. So let's bring ourselves up. I'm not running out of the door. And let's come back up to a seated position or kneeling position. This is actually a really good preparation for headstand, but we're not going to go into headstand today. We're using this as a counter for all of the lovely back bends that we've done. So let's get the hands on the heels. Let's take a breath in to lengthen the spine, and as we breathe out, we come forward. So at the moment, it's a bit like child's pose. And let's get the forehead on the floor. And then we can bring the crown of the head to the floor. Then we're going to raise the hips, keeping the hands on the heels. This is called hare pose. It's a nice gentle counter to the back bends, and as I say, a lovely preparation for headstand. Let's keep holding. 4 and 5. Good. So let's come up, and then we can take another little chance to lie down. So we're nearly done. We're going to do some shoulder openers now, so we can lie down a bit, which is nice. So let's see if we can have our hips in line with our knees, and let's see if we can have both arms in line as well. You might want to use a block or a blankie or your yoga mat under your head. So we will reach out with the top arm, so take the fingertips beyond the fingertips of the lower arm, and then trace a line to the top of your head, above the top of your head, and then trace back. And then let's trace up to 12 o'clock as if it were a clock. And let's trace up to 12 again. We'll do 2 more of those. Now this time, if it's comfortable, see how far around your arm can go. And then trace it back. All the way up to 12, if you can go all the way around. And then come back. All the way around again. And back. We'll do 2 more. If it's not comfortable to go all the way around, just stay at 12 o'clock or just a little bit after. Okay, so now let's swap around. I'm going to change sides so that you can see. I'll move forward a bit. Okay, so now we've got the other arm on top of the left arm on top of right. So let's reach beyond the fingertips of the right hand and come up to 12 o'clock and down and up to 12 and down to 12 and back. Each time we reach beyond the fingertips before we move around. Last one. And down. This time, if it's comfortable, let's go all the way to the other side. So if your bottom arm is at 3 o'clock, this will be at 9. If it's not comfortable, just stay at 12. We'll do 2 more. Okay, so this time, let's just trace the arm around again. Leave it there. And if it's comfortable, we can turn the head to face the left. If you like, you can put the right hand on the left knee, just to get a bit more of a twist in the lower back. Let's just iron out any kinks here. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let's release the right hand. Let's bring the feet back into the center and just shuffle the bum over towards the right. Stack the knees again. We can place the left hand on the right knee. If it's comfortable, we can turn the head towards the right and get a lovely twist into the lower back this way. For 3, 2, and 1. Let's release the left arm, bringing the knees back to the center, and let's just bring them to a little bit more than hip width apart, bringing the knees down towards the floor. Windscreen wipers. Good. Let's bring the feet closer together. Bring the knees in towards the chest. And we can either have the hands on the thighs, the shins, as we bring the feet up towards the sky, or we can grasp the outside of the feet, putting the whole of the spine on the floor, bringing the tailbone down to the ground for a beautiful stretch in Ananda Balasana, happy baby. Have a little roll around if you wish, side to side. And come into stillness. Let's bring the feet together, to bring the knees together, bringing the feet down towards the floor, onto the floor. And then let's extend the feet mat width apart. The hands rest at the side of the body, just a little away with the palms upwards. And let's settle ourselves into our well-earned Shavasana. So if you need to grab a pair of socks or a blanket, feel free. Get yourself settled. And we can begin our relaxation. So let's begin by breathing in through the nose and releasing a through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Let's breathe in again through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Good. So as we breathe and we become more conscious of our breath, of our own voice and of our own sound, let's see how that breath and that sound moves within us. So we're breathing in and out through the nose again. And let's bring our breath to our right leg. We breathe into the right leg. And as we breathe out, we let the whole of the right leg release. We breathe into the left leg. And as we breathe out, we let the whole of the left leg release. We breathe in to the hips, the thighs and the buttocks. And as we breathe out, we let that whole area release. We breathe in to the abdomen, the chest. And as we breathe out, we let that whole place release. Breathing into the lower back, the ribs and the upper back. And as we breathe out, we let the whole of the back release. We breathe in to the right shoulder and the right arm all the way down to the fingertips. And as we breathe out, we let the right arm release. We breathe into the left shoulder and the left arm all the way down to the fingertips. And as we breathe out, we let the left arm release. We breathe in to the back of the neck and the back of the head. And we let that area release as we breathe out. We breathe into the forehead and the eyes, the jaw. And as we breathe out, we let all of those places relax. We breathe into the throat. And as we breathe out, we release any tension in the throat. We release anything that blocks our ability to communicate. Anything that stops us from expressing our truth. Anything that stops us from expressing truth, honesty, and integrity in all its forms. And as we breathe into the whole body, let's bring this feeling of gently but firmly speaking our truth and knowing who we are. Let's bring those feelings into our whole body and gently release any blockages anywhere in the body. Okay. So let's begin to become aware of where our body makes contact with the mat, of the air around us where it touches our skin. Become aware of sounds inside and outside the room. Let's begin to wiggle the fingers and toes. Bring the feet together. And let's stretch the arms up over the head. Then let's bring the feet to the floor, bending the knees. Roll over to the right side, making a cushion for the head with the arms. And then nice and gently, when you're ready, coming up into seated. Thank you very much for practicing this throat chakra sequence with me today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it helps with expressing yourself as you need to. Namaste.